That is such a valuable piece of advice there.
These are the sorts of things that we should talk about right in the first 5 minutes of the podcast.
Started giving people free quotes. Isn't sunshine and rainbows, and isn't, everyone sees you doing so well.
For just being a solo
The
operator.
change in mindset makes a massive difference.
Welcome to Aussie Lawn Stars.
So, welcome to the dungeon. I've got Alex Galt with me today.
How's it going, Gary?
I've been developing a little bit of a tickle in the back of my throat and a bit of a cough. So if I cough through the interview, I'll apologise for spreading COVID through the microphone.
Right, yeah.
A lot of people will have seen your name on LMCA recently because you're pretty popular there.
Oh, I don't know if popular or unpopular or toxic, maybe.
I'm guessing you've got the top contributor badge.
Yes. Sorry, fruit flame. Yes, I do.
Yep. Yeah, so that makes you popular. Are you part of the Australian Professional Lawn Contractors Group as well?
No, I haven't looked at joining that one. I joined the LMCA because of Alistair. He said to have that name will might annoy a few people. He said it'd be worthwhile to have a look at, and it's just interesting to see how things are done in Australia compared to New Zealand.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I noticed, 14 years ago now, I employed a guy when I was starting up who'd moved here from your area. And not exactly your area, I think more Palmerston North, so maybe a little bit south of you. I'm not 100% sure whether it was Palmerston North or Auckland, but I'm pretty sure he was Palmerston North. And I gave him some work because he said he'd already had some lawn mowing experience with a friend of mine over there. So I was like, all right, cool, come and do some work with me. And he's doing these crazy edges. He wasn't doing vertical edges. And I'm going, what the heck's this? And he goes, in New Zealand, this is what everyone does. It's like a 45-degree bevel.
Yep. Yeah, that it is becoming more and more common to see sort of flip edging, so like vertical edges. But around that time, it definitely wasn't a common thing to be done. It was just like, 45, smash it down to the concrete, burn it back, and she'll be sweet.
Yeah.
Definitely not how I like to operate myself.
So I think you sent me a reel of Still New Zealand with a guy that was doing some bevel edges this afternoon. I'm like, oh man, I need to get onto Still New Zealand and say, hey, have a look at what we do in the motherland.
That's an interesting one. So that guy who they shared is actually the one who helped Nathan's Lawn and Gardens when he came over to Auckland.
Ah, wow. There you go.
Yep. And he was doing some of the stuff over here. I was quite surprised that Still New Zealand shared that reel just with the edges. But
do you guys use blade edges at all?
So I generally set my edges with a blade edge, but then I maintain them with the line trimmer.
That's very similar to what we do here. A lot of guys will do that. Some will, some won't.
Yeah. When I started, I would blade edge everything every time. But then as I got better, I found that, as I sort of like got more proficient at flip edging, I found it just easier to use the line trimmer, maintain like that, because I was also finding I would blade edge, it wouldn't quite cut everything, and then I'd kind of end up going along flat trimming, and then I'd kind of be flipping it up to tidy it up as well.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm definitely a sort of like a line trimmer for most of my stuff now.
Yeah, and I think anything that's been well maintained, it's easier, quicker to do that rather than swapping tools, going getting the blade edger out and then going back to get the line trimmer out afterwards.
Yeah, when I started, I was like pedantic. I would like blade edge everything. I would flat edge everything. I'd get the blower. I'd blow everything back onto the lawn. I would mow. I would catch, and then I would blow again. But I wasn't charging enough to warrant that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's good though, because I think when you start, and New Zealand versus Australia, we're always going to have some differences, but it sounds like you had the same approach as me. When I started, I was told your reputation is going to be built on your finish. So cutting vertical edges and making everything look sharp and tidy and neat is what's going to build you a good reputation. So if you're not going to be a cowboy, then that's one of the things you can do. Even if you're undercharging, you get your reputation started first by showing that you do a good job and learn your pricing along the way.
Yep, 100%. And yeah, I sort of worked out that didn't necessarily need to catch everything, and I didn't need to do the extra blow between edging and blowing and mowing and stuff. And I could still get a finish better than what a lot of people could do, or particularly like a homeowner would be able to do, so they can see the value in it. It's like, I've got someone who can do this. The finish is better than what I would get, and I don't have to do it. I come home and the lawns are done.
Beautiful. And I think that's one of those things, isn't it? It's all about making sure the customer's getting value for money. So if they feel you're doing a better job than they can do, if they feel that you're saving them effort, they're going, okay, this guy's got a good professional finish. And interesting what you said there. When you started, you changed fairly quickly from catching everything. So does that mean you started in the camp of catching is necessary?
Yes. So like in New Zealand, a lot of it was just sort of like cut short, catch everything. I never did the whole cut short thing because of the type of grasses we have.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting sort of like battle with some of my customers. Say battle, it was more like training the customers into getting used to a slightly higher cut lawn.
Yep.
Yeah.
What height of cut is good for those lawns? You're saying that's slightly taller. So you're talking like 50 mil, 60 mil high?
So generally, it was interesting. When I started, I spoke to someone who actually used to do a lot of hydro seeding. He didn't cut lawns, but he did like the chemical application, the hydro seeding, the that sort of side of things. And his recommendation was, so it's just a flyways card. Basically, this is your summer height of cut.
Yeah.
So you think of your FPOS card, like this is similar to an FPOS card. You think of your FPOS card this way.
Yeah.
This is your summer height of cut, and this is your winter height of cut.
Interesting.
So summer, we're wanting to shade the soil, keep any moisture that we can.
Yeah.
In the soil to protect the roots, allow the roots to grow deep and strong.
Yep.
In winter, we want to let that moisture out. So you've got less covering, less shading the soil. So because you've got higher moisture content, you want to let it actually get out of the lawn.
So we do almost the exact opposite of that in the warm season grasses. So, buffalo and kikuyu here, we typically will cut a little bit lower in summer and raise the height coming into winter. So probably from March, April, as it starts to cool off, you start lifting it 1 or 2 notches higher. So not double the height, but certainly 1 or 2 notches higher to make sure that it's got a little bit more protection coming into winter so it doesn't get burnt from the cold.
Yeah, so I actually have my neighbour's lawn just across the road there is kikuyu. And yeah, it's the same sort of thing. I actually cut that a lot shorter in summer and then just sort of like leave it where it is in winter, because if it gets some frost on it, it will yellow off quite quickly.
Yeah. So people need to watch this on YouTube so they can see what you were holding up there. But we were talking roughly a business card size card. I think it was a business card. And vertical height would be 65, 70 millimeters. And if you lay it over the other way, it's about 35, 40 millimeters.
Probably about 50. But in saying that, this is that way, like this flat way is kind of where I've hit the sort of spot where customers are kind of happy with it, but I'm not cutting too short.
Yeah, okay.
And then in winter I'll go a little bit lower.
Yeah.
in there, and it's just because of what people are used to. Like it's been for years and years. It's been cut short of a was it Castlemaine Gardens Testarossa, and caught.
I have never seen a Castlemaine's Testarossa.
Yeah, so they are a light. I hope I got the Castlemaine Gardens part right, but the Testarossa was the name of the mower. They're a light little 18-inch mower. Big
Yeah.
fan, plastic catcher. All the contractors for years were using them here. They were considered commercial, but they're not actually a commercial mower. And it's just what everyone used because they caught well in the wet.
I'm just doing a search for the Castlemaine Testarossa, and of course it's going to bring up a Ferrari.
Yeah. So it's a little red-bodied plastic mower.
Well, it's certainly red-bodied vehicles that I'm looking at. So what was it? Castlemaine Garden?
Castlemaine Gardens.
Castlemaine Gardens Testarossa. It's still not finding any.
Uh,
Oh, seriously, okay.
Castle Garden Testarossa, I found one.
Castle Garden.
Castle Garden, all in one word.
Yep, I found it. There you go.
Yep.
Interesting, yeah. So that looks, does look cheap, but does look plastic.
Yep, 18-inch, non-self-propelled.
Yep.
A lot of hard work.
There you go. I have to throw a picture in after we finish recording. Efficiency is the thing that rules a business and the decisions you make as a small business owner. Right Mowers give you the options in their product lineup to match efficiency with size, fuel usage, and the type of jobs you want to target, from catching to mulching or side discharge, from roadside verges to acreages, and manicured lawns to 6 feet tall and super long. I've been using the Right Stander I 42-inch with a Catch Pro for manicured areas and the Stander ZK61 to maximise productivity for large open acreage mowing. If you need to replace your push mower, try the 32-inch Stander B. If you have more open access to residential properties, there's a 42 through to 48-inch option that suits you. And if you want to enter the acreage market, the 52, 61 and 72-inch machines have choices in engine size and model type to suit the work you want it to do. Right Standards go the distance, saving you time and money season after season.
Yeah, so that was the standard for quite a while, and particularly in the Waikato.
Yeah.
Standard before I sort of got into the industry, a lot of people were already moving to like your Hondas, your 21-inch mowers and bits and pieces. There's still a lot of people who swear by this mower. They don't make it anymore. If I remember rightly, talking to Alistair, they were about $750 a pop.
Good value.
Motor mower. Now they are selling for like $1,250,
second hand,
$1,300. Not quite a second hand. Brand new for what if you can get them.
Yep.
And I know some people have bought like 6 of them in the last shipment so that they can keep mowing for ages. They had a few weak points. Front axle, like where the body would crack.
Yep.
And I think some people used to sleeve the underside with like aluminium or metal or something to protect it a bit.
I see one available for $150. Wow. Somebody else.
Yeah. I think is that Total Mowers and Chainsaws?
It says my Shopify. Yep, Total Mowers.
Yeah, I'm not sure how legit that is. That's probably I wouldn't believe that, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough.
I would say that's probably a bit of a scam.
Most likely. Yeah, well, so that's no longer the main breadwinner for contractors now.
A lot of people still stick to them, but I think a lot of people are changing. We're starting to see quite a few standards popping up, particularly the Rights.
Yeah.
That seems to be for the standards, that seems to be the one that's available mainly here in New Zealand.
Yeah, well, can't knock that. They're a brilliant machine.
Yeah, the 32B seems to be a pretty good machine.
Yeah. Now you've gone for a different stander, haven't you?
Yes, yeah. So I have actually purchased the first Greenworks 32 standard sold in New Zealand.
There you go. And I'm guessing it's cost a little bit more than the right standard B.
Yeah. Yeah, so a Wright's, I think, is about 1,800 here in New Zealand.
I mean, 18,000?
Sorry, 18,000, yeah. 18,000 here in New Zealand. And there's 32 for the Greenworks.
Yeah, so very close to double.
Yeah, very close to double.
But that goes hand in hand with your business name and your approach to mowing, right?
Yeah, 100%. So my business is called Quiet Lawns. Feel free to check it out on Facebook, Instagram, of course.
Yeah, give it a follow on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram. Facebook's actually where I've got most of the followers. I had one video that hit 1.7, one reel that hit 1.7 million views.
Wow.
And I've got 9,500 followers on there. I've been there's a few stories pop up, but I've been a little bit slack with making videos at the moment.
Yeah, fair. I think I'm pretty slack making videos too. Need to do more of that.
Yeah, surprisingly adds a heck of a lot of extra time when you're trying to do lawns or edges to sit there moving the camera around and making sure you're in shot, and then you've got to spend if you've got a lot of footage, you've got to try and condense that down, and before you know it, there's quite a few hours staring at a computer screen afterwards as well.
Yeah, it sure is. I found recently, though, there's a couple of apps I can run on my phone. And I think one of them's made by TikTok, and the other one that I've got's made by... Well, I've got three of them, actually. So one's made by TikTok. One's made by Adobe Express.
Yep.
And the other one is GoPro's one.
Yeah, so I actually tend to like using my computer, of course, for that, and I use DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah, that's a heavy hitter, that one. It's capable of processing a lot of video.
Yeah, and you pretty much get the whole access to 95% of it all for free.
Yes.
Yeah, so and that is actually a program that has been used to edit big box office movies and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that certainly for the high quality video and high end stuff, you can't go past using something like DaVinci. But I think for pumping out a few reels and stories for Facebook and Instagram, the apps on the phone make the workflow a whole lot simpler and easier. If you're recording on your phone, then it's really easy. If you're recording on a GoPro or another camera and then you're trying to upload the raw footage to your phone to put it through those apps, it's not going to be so smooth.
Yeah, so my last reel with just the photos and stuff, that was just used Instagram. But I think for that big one, I had quite a lot of footage that I was trying to squeeze down. And it was just easier to, because I needed a lot of stuff cut and squeezed in. It was just a lot easier to use the computer and to be a bit more precise with where I was cutting excess stuff out.
Yep.
And then there's more flexibility on how much you can speed things up as well.
I found even the GoPro app, if you run it on the phone and then you run the computer version of the app, the computer version just has more processing power to crunch the video too, so it makes it so much quicker.
Oh, yeah, you would hope so. Running a computer as well, you generally got higher. The specs on a phone and versus a computer might be very similar, but the performance is just different.
Well, I think with the phone, you probably find, and they've obviously improved a lot over the last 10, 15 years, but you find generally with the phone, you've got your main processor, whereas your computer, you'll have your main processor and then you'll have your video processor as well.
Yep. And
your
of course,
processor and all of it.
And heat as well. Heat's a big killer. So, of course, a phone, like the performance, because it's in a tight little package, you lose performance for heat. PC, you've generally got better airflow, cooler temperatures, more performance.
Yep, definitely. But I've found that a problem with the PC. When I'm recording interviews like this, if it's a hot day, then you get fan noise coming through.
Yeah. That is definitely, that could definitely be an issue. Thankfully, it's winter here, so there shouldn't be fan noise coming through mine.
No, it's quite good at the moment. So I think, what are we, 13 degrees? It's good.
I will just check what we're probably... Actually, we're sitting the same. We're sitting at 13 degrees at the moment.
Wow. There you go. I have a brother in Tasmania, and every now and then I'll shoot him a message. I'll be talking to him and be like, I know Tasmania's like living in the Antarctic. So what's the temperature like down there? And depending on what time of the year it is, sometimes he's warmer than me and sometimes he's noticeably colder.
Yeah, well, I think I sent you that screenshot the start of the week, and we were down to I think it was 2. We got down to 2, and I think it was 4 degrees when I sent you that screenshot, and I was loading the van up.
Yeah, well, I think the coldest I've seen this year coming into winter is 6 degrees, and my watch at the moment says we've got lows of 10 degrees overnight because we've got a bit of cloud cover. So not even into the single digits tonight.
We've about 4 weeks ago we had some -1s.
Yeah, definitely not getting that. But if you head down to Victoria, they're getting comparable to you.
Yeah, and it'd probably be about right. Sort of once you start getting in that equal sort of is it latitudes? Yeah, latitudes.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, I know. I did a trip down in April, and yeah, when I got down to Victoria, it was quite cold even back then.
Yeah.
So, Alex, when you started up, just trying to wind the clock back, how long ago did you say it was?
About 2.5 years. So it's February 2022.
Yeah, okay. And you look like a bit of a spring chicken, so
not that young. So actually turning 42 in a few weeks' time.
Yeah. Now, if people are watching this on YouTube, they'll be sitting there looking at my grey beard and they'll be going, oh, yeah, Alex looks like he's about half Gary's age. But
yeah,
I'm 47 and you're 42.
Yep. Thankfully, I can sort of shave a lot of mine off, and it is a bit of a de-aging process.
Well, if I look at the hair on top of my head, you don't see too much grey in there. If we get a little bit closer, you'll see it. But like you.
Mine just goes up this way, so it's like white. I've gone past grey. It goes white, and then it sort of goes normal. So it's just in the sideburns, but it's slowly creeping up.
Yeah, well, I've got a bit of salt and pepper right through my beard, so been working on growing it for the last couple of months and thinking the trip that I'm doing in July, it'll be probably coming off after that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things just at that stage where it gets really itchy.
Oh, yeah, I can't even stand it. I get to I'm a week and I'm like, nah, it's going off. And plus it gets patchy as well, so I'm just like, yeah, nah.
Yeah. So we're getting distracted with a lot of sidebars here. So back to where we were. You started about 2.5 years ago.
Yep.
And what were you doing before you started lawn mowing?
So before that, I was working at Hamilton City Council. When I started at Hamilton City Council, it was computer-aided drafting, civil. Moved into mapping, and in the last 7 years, I was working in the city waters, and I was doing asset information management for the city waters. So, taking the new as-built, putting them into the GIS system or geographical information systems, if I get that right, and the asset management system.
Right.
Yeah. So very detailed, computer-based. Maybe could say sort of glorified data entry.
Right. So if it's like working for a council over here, that would explain why you don't mind antagonising people on LMCA.
Oh, probably.
Comes with the territory from being a council worker.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But so in that job, from what you're saying, there's a lot of mapping involved. And I think in New South Wales, we use a website called Six Maps, which is free to access for anybody. And it's basically got decent access to fairly recent topographic aerial photograph type work. So you can jump onto my address, look it up, and you can map the border and see how big my yard is, or map the house and see how big the house is, all those sorts of things. It's fairly detailed and accurate.
Yeah, so when I was working for council, my main job was updating our Three Waters viewer. So that viewer is supplied by council, and it is actually accessible online for free. So the aerials, I know, 20. I think they were flown at the start of this year.
Okay, that's pretty recent then.
Yeah, so hold on, I'm just trying to think. The aerials available at the moment on there are 2023.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly, my wife said that they are flying aerials every year at the moment because of the amount of growth. So we should see the 2024 aerials available soon. And they are down to, I think, ground level, it's 100 millimeters accuracy.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah, so you can get a pretty decent idea of how big a property is, like the size of the grass, or like edges that you got to deal with as well.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's handy for quoting then.
Yes, 100%. So I will, with quoting, I always make sure to go view the property as well.
Yeah.
I'll quite often go view the property, and then I'll come home and sort of like, I would have taken some photos as well of like things that I think could be interesting or a little bit niggly, or like where gardens are. Then I'll come home, measure it up, and so I can see what's under trees and bits and pieces as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so when you started, we already touched on the fact that your business name is Quiet Lawns. So did you go straight into battery gear?
Yep. So the idea behind going battery actually came during COVID. We had some pretty strict lockdowns. Both my wife and I were working from home. We had two kids who were trying to school from home as well. We have a very small house. So in the space of about 50 square meters, we had my wife working where I am now. I was working on the kitchen table over there, and then the two kids were sitting there trying to do some schoolwork. The neighbour behind us is a contractor or a lawnmower, and he had very, very loud commercial. Oh, I don't even know if it's really commercial grade. It was just loud. That he would start up while we were trying to have Zoom meetings and bits and pieces.
Yeah, so he was making the most of his time at home mowing his own lawn.
Yeah, pretty much. He's actually a retired police officer who was kind of doing it for a bit of pocket money, really. Not really charging what he needs to, but hey, makes him a bit of pocket money besides his pension and everything like that.
But he inspired you to go into it and get battery gear. Yeah,
there was other stuff going on. I needed to get out of work. I was already at the point where I had kind of had enough. I was probably not doing as much work as I should have been, but hard when you've got two kids as well. And there was definitely a lot of looking at lawn mowing gear online. Husqvarna sort of like came up because there was the Husqvarna website, and there was Footprint Gardening.
Yeah, he's in Sydney.
Yep, and he was the main kind of one who was featured on the website, on Husqvarna's website. There's some videos about him using battery gear. I believe he's now Makita.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, at the time. So I was initially looking at Husqvarna.
Yeah.
Didn't end up going that way, of course. So
yeah, of course.
yeah, of course. So it was straight into battery gear. And the other thing is, our eldest daughter actually has APD, auditory processing disorder.
Yeah, okay. So the noise would be rather
difficult. And we've actually just got a diagnosis for ASD for her as well. So
a lot of
loud
those
noises.
diagnoses go hand in hand. So
yeah,
there's a lot of crossover with some of them, but certainly ASD and the auditory processing disorder often, I wouldn't say always, but they're quite frequently.
Yeah, definitely. And so she, I don't think we didn't have the APD diagnosis then, but we did know that she was very susceptible to loud noises in particular. So that was one of the contributing factors as well.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so one of the things I noticed when I was stalking your Facebook profile and getting ready to interview you, I saw a motorbike there.
Yes. It's
and
no longer in the garage, unfortunately.
Everybody's going to go, oh, no, Gary's talking about motorbikes. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So tell me, I'm guessing you're into road bikes, so not so much dirt bikes.
I definitely, I started on a Honda CBR RR 250.
Nice.
First bike. As soon as I got my full license, I had a brand new 2007 GSXR 600 delivered down the day I went to sit my full license.
Wow.
So, definitely into road bikes. I think it was the friends that I was hanging around with at the time that were into road bikes. I'd done a little bit of racing. Just a real entry-level class called street stock.
Yeah, okay.
It was just 254 strokes, 152 strokes. Literally a street bike. You had to lock wire your stand up, and you had to put a lock wire in your sun plug.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Pull some mirrors and indicators off if you wanted to.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, that class has been fairly interesting to watch racing a few years ago.
Yeah, I think it's probably kind of dead now in New Zealand, the street stock.
Yeah.
Just because the two, I don't know. I've been out of the sort of, you're talking like 15 odd years. 15, 20, close to 20 years ago now, I think.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting category because a few years ago, particularly those small two-strokes were really interesting because you develop a lot more power out of a two-stroke for the CCs than what you do out of a four-stroke.
So this is the street stock. You weren't allowed to modify the bike.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, it was literally, you weren't even allowed to put an aftermarket shock on it. So zero modifications. As I said, it was a lock wire the stand up, lock wire the
sump plug.
The sump plug. Maybe put some slightly better tires on. Maybe if you had some different fairings that you wanted to put on, and that was it.
Now, I bought a 1000cc bike off somebody in Sydney a few years ago. I've still got the bike, BMW S1000, beautiful bike. But he was racing, and I think he was racing 125 or 150 class.
Yep.
And he said that hands down, that size bike was quicker on the track than the 1000.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, if you get it into the full-on like 125s or 152 strokes, they're just so light and nimble. Depending on the track, you can just throw it around, and you're literally full throttle around the corners.
Yeah. So the bigger bikes will be quicker down the straight, but in the corners, no way.
Yeah, I do remember some track days where I'd be going round the outside of people on big bikes on my little 250, just dragging me round the outside of them.
Yep.
And then I thought I was like a bit of hot shit, and then someone came flying around the outside of me on a 600, just like dragging a knee, and he was really good. So
it's amazing, isn't it? When you think you're good, and then you see somebody who's that much better, it just
yeah, to go that fast on a 600 compared to a 250, yeah, they were quick.
A little bit of humble pie doesn't hurt anyone.
Oh yeah, definitely,
especially a Kiwi. So so the GSXR 600 was your bike that you bought brand new around in 2007, and you hung on to that for quite a while.
Yeah, I only just sold it last year.
Yeah, shame.
Yeah, it had sat in the garage for over a year. Our registration was on hold. I couldn't afford to insure it, couldn't afford to register it, just because of starting the business. I didn't really have time to use it either, like even if I wanted to. And then it was kind of like, if I hurt myself on it, how am I going to keep mowing lawns, particularly in the start of the business?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fair enough.
I think the last time it came out was a couple of Decembers ago, when I'd ride around dressed as Santa for a bit of a laugh.
Yep. Well. Yeah, no, I think I'm going through that stage at the moment of debating whether I should sell my road bike or not.
Yeah, it gets... yeah, as I said, mine just wasn't being used, so it just had to go. We needed the money to top the savings back up after I'd stripped a bit of it out.
Yeah, so. Fair. Well, I'm definitely using mine, but I'm weighing up at the moment with a 250 dirt bike and a 1000 road bike. What are sensible choices for a middle-aged man?
Yeah. I think that came into it as well. It's like, yeah. I mean, you can still hurt yourself pretty badly on a dirt bike, though.
Well, yeah, I guess that's where I'm going. I'm going, instead of having an outright fun 2-stroke dirt bike and an outright fun 1 litre road bike, I'm going, well, maybe I need to have a bike that's a compromise in every way so that it's not as much fun.
It's still going to be fun, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, it's still a motorbike. But I'm leaning towards a mid-size adventure bike, so it's not good on the road, not good in the bush.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's like does both things okay.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend about it in the last couple of days, and just saying, whatever adventure bike you look at, it's a compromise one way or the other. It's either more of a compromise in the bush or more of a compromise on the road, but it's never going to be the same as having a road bike and a dirt bike.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you go to a smaller adventure bike, you're better on the dirt, but not as good on the road. You go to a big, 1,000cc adventure bike, you're really heavy. When you're off-road, if you drop it, you've got other issues. You've got to pick it up. But it's probably better on the road, isn't it?
So I basically need something that's slower on the road and not as good for doing the really technical stuff in the bush.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, then I can be a middle-aged man and still ride and not kill myself.
Yeah.
And not lose my license.
Yeah, that is one. That's one of the things with the 600 is like every single set of lights you ran the risk of losing your license, and you'll probably find that with the 1000cc. It's like just so easy, you're above the speed limit in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, I've had one run in with the police and don't want to do it again.
Yeah, they're a lot stricter over there than they are here too.
Yeah,
higher fines, higher demerit points as well.
Yeah, I won't talk about that. It hurt.
Yeah, I can imagine. The wallet would have been feeling a lot lighter.
The wallet was feeling lighter. The money was gone. The license was gone, and the judge didn't like me either.
All right. Okay. So you got pinged going quite high then.
I didn't think so. Yeah. This is what like the problem you're saying. Like every set of lights, every corner, it's dangerous.
Yeah, I mean the 600 was 120 in first gear.
I was doing the speed limit and went round a corner and I just want to lean into the corner a little bit and got to go a little bit faster so that I'm leaning, and then come out of the corner and there was a police officer.
Yeah, I've done that a few. Actually, yes, I did do that. Just probably about a K away from home. So yeah. Been there, done that.
So yeah, if I was riding an adventure bike, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Aussie Lawn Stars. Please remember to rate and review the show on the Apple Podcasts app or the player you use. Exciting new shows are released every Monday. Make sure you follow or subscribe to hear the next episode.